Welcome to the Diplomats on DBN. We are now rolling. We are on our second episode. Thank you for those of us, all the thousands of people who have come to us to over the last few days to tell us about all the support we've gotten. It's greatly appreciated, and we like it too. We're glad to be here. We've got Keith Wursel as always, and we've got new diplomat Josh Ostrowski here, and he'll be joining us for continuing commentary on Nexus Season 9 on DBN. Can't say it enough. We just got through talking about spring 1901, and let's look at the orders in the box, Keith. Look at this. We got the orders in the box. It's so cool. What do we see in the fall?
Wow. Double support.
Wow.
York to Belgium. So Cedric has both Germany and France on side. So he's going to have to make a decision pretty quickly of who he likes better, because obviously the test was passed by both. Looks like Darcy was not sure about Munich, wants to cover that. And we have that army in Denmark, which usually rots there for the rest of the game until someone snipes it from him. Fleets take Bothnia goes to Sweden, Norwegian goes to Norway, as expected. At least Cedric still has North to hold that for now. And then Mid-Atlantic goes to Portugal, Spain holds. So it's pro Italy from the French mode, and looks like with that French fleet being in Portugal, it gives him time to be like, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to see where everything goes, because he's got a whole season to go to Mid-Atlantic.
You nailed the predictions in the West. I think you're the only one that got them right.
No, well, I wasn't sure like what England or I just thought they would get two. I didn't know which the order, right? So let's talk about a few things here. We'll break down the West before we go to the East, I think, because that's just the way I'm looking, which is got to be good news for Cedric. That's the first thing. Yep. He gets to choose. And normally when you're in the West, it's a popularity contest. And in some ways, now I've seen this backfire for England. I think we all have many times. So, who's to say that the trick is not capturing Belgium first, it's capturing it last. All the qualifiers go into place, but it has to be a good omen that this occurred. If you're Cedric, though, who do you like? Who would you rather play with?
It's tough because there's only so much that fleet in Holland can do.
That's the problem. The fleet in Holland.
And so he's going to want to have to keep Germany on side, because if he taps that, he can lose Norway, because most likely Tim's going to build an army in St. Petersburg. So you want to keep Germany on side. So you're going to want to offer him Sweden and maybe go back to Kiel, pivot around. France, on the other hand, isn't posing any threats. You're going to want to negotiate good builds from them. He's going to have to say the best things to both of them right now. But I think that come next year, it would be way easier to pick off all these German centers, because the units are in such bad positioning that it might be difficult. Once he chucks Denmark into Sweden, maybe everything's easy for him to go into. Maybe he goes to the Helgoland and takes him out. So
I think a lot is going to depend on what France is willing to do next year. If you're England, if he's willing to commit units east, it becomes a lot more appealing. I don't know if Rob is going to be willing to do that. So this may be a little bit more complicated for Cedric.
I think it's super complicated. I fear for a fleet Brest if I'm Cedric here. It seems like a super logical build that is anti-English, or work something out with Italy, fleet Marseille, army Paris, and just play it slow. But there's a real problem for Cedric, even getting Belgium and even getting two builds, I think, which is the German builds. Germany, Darcy's played enough diplomacy to know that an army and a fleet are probably called for, and he can't build in Munich. So, no combination. Fleet Berlin, Army Kiel sucks for Germany. Fleet Kiel, Army Berlin sucks for England.
It's going to
We got
really
a lot of
tell
issues.
exactly what he's going to do. I mean, if he's building
Mhm.
fleet keel and he's keeping his fleets together, and it's most likely anti-English here. Fleet Berlin, he's going to have to pivot things around. But if you have a fleet Berlin, that means you're probably moving something towards Sweden. But then you have an army in Kiel, and you're way out of position to actually go and tap Warsaw. It's really, really difficult. If you build the fleet Kiel, Army Berlin, then you have so long to get to Burgundy with that extra army. You have Denmark, Berlin, and Munich. I'm like, so the units themselves will show a lot of what he's doing. So Army Kiel is going to be pro-English, Fleet Kiel, anti-English.
Having
Yeah,
an army,
go ahead.
well, having an army in Kiel too, you're able to put 2 on Ruhr as well, which I'm sure is something he'd want to do. But go ahead, Ed.
The problem is that it's so much better to have the army in Holland for this precise reason
Exactly.
and the fleet in Kiel, because it's going to take a long time to attack France now, which is already a difficult attack. Josh, as you know, EG is not a
Slow.
yeah, it's slow. I mean, unless you're in Burgundy and the Channel, and they're not any of those places. And he didn't move Spain to Portugal, right? France didn't move Spain to Portugal.
Right.
All Rob has to do is build one army and move Spain to Gascony, and that's difficult. So it's almost like Cedric has to attack Germany here.
I agree.
It almost feels like Darcy has to build Fleet Kiel. But if I'm Cedric, I'm probably looking more towards Russia.
That's
Russia,
the key.
Russia's already looking at things that are fun from the Olympus that I've seen, doing crazy, unusual things. He's young, and I think that's Cedric's MO. I think Cedric.
You think he'll talk well to Tim? You think he and Tim will vibe?
I think they'll vibe pretty well, and I think he might just put Sweden into Denmark and pop that army immediately.
What's Cedric's favorite St. Pete build?
South Coast.
Exactly.
Talked about it many times. Many times.
I wonder if they're having conversations about that.
He loves the South Coast build. That's a great insight.
He probably doesn't want a second fleet regardless, but that could help against Germany.
So
he loves triangles.
He loves triangles. onto the east. I think we can say there's an AI.
Yeah. Yep. Just as we suspected.
This is about as good as it gets.
I was gonna say, this is what you want. I mean, maybe it would be even better if you had another bounce in black or something, but still, I mean, this is the commitment that they needed to show each other. I mean, Italy, obviously you risk getting bounced and try having no builds, but they trust each other.
Yeah.
The AI would be the one to beat.
Puglia also didn't follow up into Venice, which is another good sign of trust.
Right, precisely. I keep looking at the Russian-Turkey moves, right? It seems like it's an RT. I mean, right? This is what Turkey would want to see here. It's that Russ Dennis thing we were talking about in spring 1901, which is, hey, if you put that fleet in black, I'll build an Ankara. If you put the army in Rum and support yourself, I'll build a fleet in Smyrna. And I think that's what we'll see. But I hate this position as Turkey sometimes because you almost now have to invite the Black Sea fleet, Sevastopol, to go to Black Sea to help defend. You got 3 already. There's Bulgaria problems.
The army in Armenia also isn't going to do much good against an AI.
I think it'll move back. I think it was a hedge.
I agree.
But I don't know if it'll move back because this could very easily be an air. Right?
Yeah.
It could be.
Tim hasn't had to do anything. I mean, Tim has been able to keep his cards close. Every single move has been as you would expect for Russia. I mean, complete opposite from Olympus Season 3. He's making the smart moves.
Well, he was in black. He had great moves in spring 1901.
That is a good point. His position was much different going into fall.
That Armenia move is a little rough for me.
Because I don't think you can easily take black, right? You've got to sort of cover Sev, or there's issues there.
Well, especially against potentially a strong AI. I mean, you need as little tension in the RT as possible, and that army in Armenia is not going to help that.
You would think if it was a full AI, Smyrna would go to Syria here, don't you think?
He needs to go to Syria
in the spring. Oh, you mean this term?
I mean fall 1901, but I think
I'm wondering if he knew, like, what his read was on the board.
He was probably just ensuring that if Russia went to black, that there would be some pressure, some pain. And I get that it's kind of like a trust but verify thing, but you kind of have to do that through negotiations here.
I'm just curious how much the talk of AI is going across the board right now. I don't know how much history these players are aware of between those two players. I think that these fall moves we saw coming. I can't imagine the players didn't either. I feel like the AI has got to be the talk of the board right now.
It's got to be the talk of the board, but and I don't think there's any obvious tempo in the West, right, to match the tempo that we're seeing. But part of this is Russia's getting 2 builds, but can only build in 2 places. Has to build north, right? So Army Moscow is for sure. If I'm Russia, as much as I want to play in the north, I'd be worried about this AI. What's the best way to combat that, Keith?
Combat the AI?
Yeah. Get French pressure.
You have to have French pressure, or
German pressure.
Germany is in a good position, a German unit in Bohemia is enough to get you in Galicia.
And Germany is not in a position, I don't think, to help right now.
Tyrolia is vacant, and
it's true.
It could go that way. Unfortunately, it's going to have to pivot Berlin or Kiel down to cover Munich. And if it's an FG, then that's great. You pretty much have to make a C line if you're going to combat it at this point with this position.
And I don't think that's happening given Cedric's support in this fall turn. Yeah.
So if I'm Russia, I'm coordinating with England as much as possible and asking England, who do they have on side, and can I get them to free up a unit to pressure the AI?
I mean, against the AI, it's got to be 2 armies for Russia, right?
I think that's the smart thing to do.
You think 2 armies? You don't want to go with your fleet build South Coast and try and take. There's no real easy German centers to get, though. I think probably 2 armies.
The army gives you flexibility too. I mean, things with these extended deadline games, things can turn on a dime between days, and having that army gives you the flexibility to pivot.
It's a really good point. You're a Russian specialist, Josh. You like the 2 armies.
Well, that's what I did. Although my second army was in Warsaw, but he can't do that here. But yeah, I did build Army St. Pete, Olympus Season 2.
Yeah,
it sort of begs the question: should Warsaw have gone to Ukraine here and then build an army Warsaw?
Well, it depends whether Galicia is. I mean, I can't imagine. It's got to be an agreed balance, and if it's not, there's no way I'm wanting that Austrian army there.
Two bounces in a row usually means no air.
It usually means no air. Usually 0 bounces means an air. We've seen 2 bounces.
I think 2.
The first one's normal. The second one's like, well, if you move there, I can push you out. It's not that big of a deal. There's no reason to bounce twice.
I know we've brought up what we think is trust between the AI, but if I'm Austria and I feel good with Italy, I'm ensuring I'm bouncing Galicia because there's no reason. You don't need to cover try in the spring if you trust Italy. Clearly, this try loan was agreed. So again, might as well bounce Galicia. So I think that he had nothing better to do with that army anyways.
I want to.
Still,
Oh, go ahead.
you would still see Sev go to Rome or Sev take the black, I think.
True. That's a good point.
I want to make one little teaching point. Not that I'm a teacher here, but Bulgaria for sure should be going to Romania because it's a trust but verify move with Russia, right? It Russia still takes it. There's no, the only danger is Serbia supporting Bulgaria to Romania, but you look, you say I'm going to Romania to force you to put 2 on it. That way you're not in the black.
Yep. Then he doesn't have to do this cheeky Armenia thing that is just going to piss Russia off. It's much better just to tap Romania.
Okay, let's talk about builds. We've talked about Russia. I think you've convinced me 2 armies, Josh. Keith, what do you think?
I'm just an army player. I believe you should have at least 5 armies, I think, as Russia to actually make sure your core is stable. Otherwise, Austria that grows can just run right through you. It just allows you to pivot. I mean, Russia's in the shape of a cross, so the fleets can't do anything but protect one center.
I think my hesitation to predict, that's just what I would do, but my hesitation to predict 2 armies is I think Tim is the type of player to build a fleet. Just given how we saw his play in Olympus Season 3. I also wouldn't be surprised.
He's a high-risk player. He wants to hit
the fleet is higher. The fleet is a higher risk, higher reward play.
I think Cedric's a high-risk player too, and he does like that South Coast fleet. And that allows both their fleets to just move.
We're also. I'm curious too if it all really depends on how Germany's feeling. Germany could be not feeling great and really be pushing Russia for a North Coast fleet build. I just don't know what the relationship dynamic is. There's really nothing we can learn from the West's moves because Tim had to walk into Sweden.
Well, it's another diplomacy truism: is no good deed goes remembered. Which is, I let you into Sweden. I didn't even. It don't matter.
One thing we haven't talked about though is Germany could have done their opening in the spring to appease Russia. Like maybe they have something going on. I mean, that's a very favorable opening for Russia because you're guaranteed Sweden. I don't know if that plays into this at all.
Most Russians will see this as you didn't let me into Sweden. You couldn't cover it. Like,
that's a good point.
You can't let me do something that you can't possibly do. Like,
I think it's a tough call on the fleet. It very well mean. Look, if there's a GR, then I think I'd expect the fleet build North Coast. But
not necessarily. A lot of Germans
not necessarily, but I would want that
fleet pressure. They just want you to have that one fleet because once you have 2, then they're going to split England how many ways then? Like they'd rather just give you a couple of Scandinavian centers and tell you to go south.
Well, when I play Germany, I hate for there to be additional Russian fleets.
Exactly, that's what I said.
Right.
I don't think
my ultimate goal is to have the entire, North Sea area.
If you're England, you want as few fleets as well. So I mean, I know we're kind of tongue in cheek with the South Coast build, but like, do you think Cedric actually would want that? I guess would be the question.
The one great thing about the South Coast is that Norway can just leave. Like if you're with Russia, then you don't have to worry about anything at that point. I think if we see Fleet South Coast, you can say that this is an ER right off the bat.
Yeah,
I think the traditional play from this standpoint is to go to Russia. Russia builds an army and say, you can have Norway, support me to Skagerrak, support me to Denmark, and we'll put the army in Norway, and I'm cool. I mean, that would be the way that would normally be handled, right?
Riaz and I did something similar in Olympus Season 2, where I built the army, moved it to Norway. I actually moved down from Sweden to Baltic, and then he rotated, I believe, Norway into Sweden, I supported him into Denmark. But yeah, that's a good point. Something along those lines could definitely be arranged.
I just hate ER tension, to be honest with you. Like in general, when I'm playing England, when I'm playing Russia, and there always seems to be a lot, and it always seems to be unnecessary because there always seems to be a path forward from that. But that's my bias towards the ER.
It's like giving Austria-Romania. It's not fun having them there, but if they move out, it's not awful. And that's the hard part, is getting the English unit out without a Russian unit there to start threatening the English position in Norway. And so it's kind of a tit for tat, and you have to have a lot of trust just to everyone move out right now.
I've seen that done, right? But the moving out, sure. But the other thing is that if you put if you're England, you put an army in. If you let Russia put an army in Norway, you got to watch that like a hawk, because if Russia's going to be gaining Budapest or Vienna, you can be for sure that fleet builds in the north are coming, and you got to be in an opportunity to take that back. In those situations, that's is tricky. Okay, I don't think, Keith, that we got you for sure, or Josh, on what's going to happen in St. Petersburg. I need a prediction.
I'll go with 2 armies. I'll play it safe.
That's what I would say as well, just because that's how I play it.
I'll do the fleet South Coast to Army Moscow, but I think you guys are both right.
I'm excited to see that. So,
I think we all agree fleet Smyrna.
Yep.
Yes.
It's got to be.
Fleet Naples, all agreed.
Yep.
Yes.
Army Budapest is a lock.
Make it wave.
Sorry, Ezio.
Yeah. Ezio won't be watching. This is too short an episode.
Never get the hard ones.
Boy, Brest is going to tell the whole story. I think we'll see Army Paris Fleet Marseille. What do you guys think?
I would say I think there's going to be a Fleet Brest. I don't like Fleet Portugal without Fleet Brest. It just isn't. Not my favorite thing.
If he doesn't build a Fleet Brest, nothing's touching the channel, which can't make him feel great.
Especially with the 2 build England.
Exactly.
Probably building. Sorry, France probably Army Paris, because Spain can go to Marseille if it needs to.
I'll go Army Paris, Fleet Brest.
I can't see it. I think that he'll get a lot of pressure to build Fleet Marseille because of the Italian tempo. And Cedric's got to worry about Fleet Holland, and I don't think that there's a stab as likely like that, but okay. German builds. I want to go Fleet Kiel Army Berlin. No, I'm going to go Fleet Berlin Army Kiel.
It's tough. They just supported England into Belgium.
Yep.
So I think I'd go the same.
I would do Fleet Kiel Army Berlin. And not because I think that makes sense, but just because I want a place for my army to retreat from Denmark if I have to. I don't want that thing to be destroyed. And if I have an army in Kiel and it bounces, having 3 armies linear from Denmark, Kiel to Munich is
your fleets wouldn't be touching either.
Your fleets are split. It's so bad. And I would have to spin it. I'm like, I know this looks like I'm attacking you, but I swear it's just the bad position. I was going to say a bad word. The bad position that I'm in, that I have to build Fleet Kiel Army Berlin. It's even if I have to shift it around Munich to Ruhr, Berlin to Munich.
I think you're right. I think you convinced me.
I have to do it. I can see a world where he gets talked into Fleet Berlin. It's just bad. It's just bad, so bad.
You guys know Cedric. How persuasive is he? I mean, these builds are really going to show how convincing he is.
He's persuasive enough to make me cry and not want to be online for days on end.
Cedric and I played both of our first press games ever against each other. The very first game ever in tournament play on Nexus that he soloed. And man, he and I, I think he called me the Green Devil. I was Italy. He was just. I wouldn't fall for anything he was trying on me, but we went back and forth.
He smelled smoke and fire.
Okay, I'm going to say something. I'm changing my mind on France. I think Fleet Brest now because now that I've thought about it a little bit more, I think Cedric is almost certainly. I mean, my God, how many episodes has he said England needs to build 2 fleets in this situation?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to build in Liverpool, but he might. Fleet London, Fleet Edinburgh, right? For Cedric?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm pretty sure during his coverage, your guys' coverage of Olympus season 2, in this exact position where it seems like there was a clear EF, he said that he would be building 2 fleets and one of them would be in Liverpool. I want to say, I'm pretty sure he said that. So I'm really curious if he does this. Like he said,
are you going to predict that? The
That's what I'm
problem
gonna
is
predict,
Cedric
yeah.
is now confronted with his own words.
I know.
It
depends too. I mean,
throws your hand too much. I just feel like he can chuck a fleet into English Channel and it's still good.
Do you think he demands Fleet Marseille out of France, and France says, "Hey, I'm building Fleet Brest," and to retaliate, he says, "Okay, I'm building Fleet Liverpool."
Yeah, could totally go that way.
Could happen because I don't think Rob is a practiced liar, right? Like I don't think he likes to lie on builds. So maybe that's what it's actually one of the features and the bugs of negotiating builds, which you don't get in face to face, right? But if it was me, if it was Ed Sullivan, I'm building Fleet Edinburgh, Army London. All right, that's what I'm doing. But I don't know if Cedric does that.
Keith, what was your prediction?
Edinburgh and London, both fleets. Yeah,
2 fleets. Okay, so we have all 3. I think they'll know all 3 of us have different predictions. Didn't Cedric also say that he thinks that not lying build phase is overrated? Not to say that he'll lie on this phase. I feel like he said that too.
Who do we think said that?
Cedric. I thought I heard Cedric say that in one of your recent episodes. It could be misremembering. But I agree with you. I don't think Rob will lie. I think Rob will tell him. If he's building Fleet Brest, he'll tell him.
I think Fleet Brest is fine. I mean, if there's no opponent against the Channel, you could always go to Mid-Atlantic and Spain. It's not any slower than Marseille.
All right, Keith, time to reveal the winter 1901.
How? Is it loaded?
It should be loaded. Can't get them? All right, I'll read them. You guys talk for a second while I pull it up. It should be up there with the enter and the arrow, but all right.
I pulled it up, so I just saw about. Here we go.
There we go.
Here.
That's the builds.
What do you got? Oh, Josh!
I told you.
Oh my god!
I know Cedric.
I want to get the Fleet Marseille.
Oh, he got it too.
So many things.
Oh, 2 armies for Germany.
You got 2 armies. I was going to say, if Cedric negotiate 2 armies,
wow.
would he do that?
There are so few fleets in the wow.
It almost looks like a Western Triple, except for that Liverpool.
Except for Cedric. Whoa.
Cedric.
All right, we got to talk about this. This is.
So the East shook out predictably.
Yep. Everything.
The East shook out predictably.
Yep.
All right, Keith. What is? This has got to be the EG, right?
It looks like an EG to me. You have Kiel go to Ruhr, Berlin can go to Prussia, Silesia. It's an interesting unit. I still don't know what Holland's going to do, but
I'm not feeling good if I'm Tim here. I really would not have wanted to see those armies. Or 2 armies.
Yeah, my first question is, what does he do with those armies?
Exactly.
To get his 6th build, right? Traditional 6th build for Germany is Sweden. This is going to be. He's got no fleets on it now, and so those armies can really only go towards France or Russia.
And he's got a 50-50 guess around Norway. Does Norway support Denmark to Sweden, or does Denmark support Norway to Sweden? Just don't know.
I was thinking about that if maybe there's an exchange where Cedric gets Sweden, but then they exchange Belgium or something like that.
I think they just have to tap down Sweden this year because a retreat to Baltic is bad. I think they have to do it in the fall.
I think, can we all agree that Holland either has to go to Kiel or Belgium here at some level, right? Like
having no fleet. Having no fleet touching Baltic.
Because once Sweden is dislodged, it's going to Baltic, so they need it in Kiel. It has to go to Kiel.
So that tells me Kiel goes to Ruhr.
Kiel has to go to Ruhr.
Munich supports. Holland to Kiel. Denmark taps Sweden.
Yep.
Berlin probably holds or bounces in Silesia or something like that. I think that's what Germany does.
This ties down a lot of Tim's units. I mean, with this AI, Tim needs like every single army he can afford, and this does not help that. If you're Rob here, I cannot imagine that's got to be that might be another. Do you think Cedric lied about the builds? I mean, if you know he's building Liverpool, there's no way.
Has to have been a lie.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Also,
has to have been a winter stab.
Yeah, EF is a complete war. Right now, if I'm Rob, I am going to try my best to get Darcy on side, even though he's only got one fleet. It's gonna so bad. It's so bad for Rob. It's like you're trying to get an ally that can't help you that much.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised in the spring to see some convoy of Denmark to Belgium. Something, to get that army, away towards France. But obviously it's great for Cedric. It's going to be an English channel. It'll be an Irish or North Atlantic.
If I'm France, I'm going for that. I'm like, oh yeah, please convoy Denmark to Belgium, and I'll cover Picardy, and I'll support that in. It was like, let's pop that English now. Build yourself a fleet. We can start going. I mean, there's a way to get around it, but
Rob's got to defend Burgundy, I presume here. Maybe he takes a risk.
That's a good point. He's gonna have to decide between defending Burgundy or leaving Picardy open.
I think he's got to leave Burgundy alone.
Prioritize Picardy.
I think if you don't have anything in Mid-Atlantic or Brest and Channel is going to be taken, I would prioritize Picardy. You're going to have Gascony coming up to cover things. I mean, you can always retreat to Paris. You got a good line. It's just it hems that Marseille fleet down a lot if you lose Burgundy.
It's so long to get that Marseille fleet back over. He wasted 2 turns basically, right? I mean,
if I'm France, I'm apologizing to Philip that I built that fleet and asking him, please go back to Tyrolia. Please go back to Tyrolia.
He really might, because he doesn't need to be in Tri-still. There's no point.
He doesn't have to be.
I mean, I actually don't see what else he's doing with that army.
A lot of times it goes to Albania to ensure Serbia is safe and lets the Austrian units go after Galicia or Romania. But Tyrolia is just as good. It's
always the Trieste loan that Italy forgets that Trieste was a loan. It rarely seems to ever get back to Italy. I mean, to Austria, And at some point, Austria's like, hey, that's my home center. I get my home center back. That's always a point.
If this ends up being a strong EG, incentivizes AI to stick together longer because they can't afford to stab. Not that they're going to stab anytime soon, but I'm talking more for the mid game.
What does that incentivize Tim to do? Is it an heir? Because they got to keep him around, or does it fight Austria, Italy, fight England, fight Germany?
That's what I'm saying. It's a bad
spot. Back to Tim fighting everybody again.
It's a bad spot to
Tim
be
with
in.
4 enemies.
I'd be nervous to air that it's just going to be an AI after Turkey's dead.
Yeah, it's rough for Tim here. It's like, an AI and an EG. I was like, hopefully it doesn't stab everyone again.
The two people that can help him, I mean, it's France and Turkey, and they can't really do a whole lot.
Turkey's going to support him with Armenia, right? That's a friendly unit.
Well, I mean, what? Bulgaria is takeable here.
Yep.
Right? Aegean cut Khan, Serbia to Bulgaria, Greece supports, Budapest
to Romania.
Cuts Romania, but I mean, it's takeable. The issue is then Russia's maybe in Galicia, maybe in Silesia. I think Moscow's probably got to go to Ukraine. I think you've just got to maybe take your medicine and accept that you're going to lose Sweden for now.
And the other thing, we talked about this, but let's just say that Berlin, our army's moving to Silesia. That's another problem. I mean, he's got so many problems to deal with here.
Poor Tim. Just wants to play Russia for fun. Might not be in your wheelhouse, buddy.
Do you think AI just take Bulgaria in the spring, or do you think that they'll prioritize Galicia? Naples goes to Ionian here. Maybe, sometimes I see in this position that, hey, Bulgaria gets taken by Austria at the end of 2002, and I'll take Tunis. We'll each get a build.
Yeah, I think you prioritize it in the spring. Hopefully pop that unit. Give yourself some security. Especially, you can put one on Galicia because more than likely something's coming for Warsaw from Germany. So that actually bought Austria a lot of leverage for their tactics.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think you prioritize Bulgaria in the spring. If you are able to piff that army, that's massive for the fall.
The only con is, I guess, if Romania goes to Serbia.
Right. I mean, you could have Trieste.
Still push it out. But.
Yeah. You could have Trieste follow it through, but I can't imagine Austria wants that.
No.
That would be giving Italy a lot of power.
It's a lot of risk for Russia to do too. Usually they just hold themselves in Romania, but at this point, what are they offering Russia and make them so they don't help Turkey here? I mean, the AI could make this an air and be like, you can be with us or you can slowly lose everything you have to us and the EG. So they probably want Russia on side long enough to slow the EG down.
Yeah. Well, as we've seen, a successful EG fights against Russia and France at the same time. The problem is that whatever this was, I can't imagine the fleet Kill the Holland was orchestrated by Cedric in the beginning, except for maybe deceptive purposes. This 2 armies and all the rest. I mean, it's going to be slow for Germany here. We ain't going to see a 1904 stab.
No. It's going to be much slower.
This is a very safe EG where E is all fleets and G is all armies. There is no good stabs here.
Which makes it even rougher for Rob.
Yep.
Well, yeah. I mean, it gives AI time to work. We're going to see two slow-moving alliances here, right? You know, um, I assume there has to be an RT in response to this. I think we're going to see. I think I think Tim has to take a risk here and move Sev to black, and probably Moscow to Sev. I think I think he almost has
not
to
Ukraine.
I guess Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine works. I think Ukraine's probably a little better.
If I'm doing that, then I'm doing Romania to Serbia.
I like Romania to Serbia. It's risky, but
I mean, if Romania is not doing anything, I mean, you can hold Bulgaria, but it's most likely getting cut.
right.
And more than likely, Austria is not going to be putting the fleet in Bulgaria. It could happen. But if they do,
happen.
It would cut the support anyway.
You cut the support.
Exactly.
And if it does move Serbia, then you walk in behind it and it gives you a few more options.
Maybe, unless Trieste goes to Serbia, Venice to Trieste.
Yeah. That's what we said before, but as Austria, you pretty much don't want Trieste going to Serbia here.
Romania
nice
why not?
It gives Bulgaria a retreat to Romania, too.
True. It's also nice too. Romania could retreat to 7 in this instance if he were to get attacked.
Mm-hmm. There's some fun things. I mean, they're not optimal. You have to have severe trust, which I guess they're in a position where they don't have a choice. So,
Especially,
I mean,
Turkey.
do you think Russia should air, Keith, or do you think he should be part of an RT and try and slow things down and hope for a break on the board?
I would RT here. The air should be offered. I think Philip's going to be very good at selling it. But if I'm at Russia and an air here, I just know that I'm the expendable one immediately. I mean, that double bounce in Glacia and the fact that they didn't ask me to open as an air, then yeah, it's a consolation prize. So.
In fall of 01, Tim obviously supported himself in Romania, which you can't fault him for doing. If it was an air from the beginning, I'm sure he had pressure to move to black, and understandably so. I'd be hesitant to do that as well. But if it's an air, I feel like it would be a pivot into an air. Like I don't think.
I agree with you that Tim. I agree with you that it doesn't indicate an air. The other thing that doesn't indicate an air is there's no fleet build, particularly North Coast, which is your real value to an AI as Russia. But I'm saying it may have to be one now, but he is less valuable in the air because he doesn't have a fleet. So I don't know what to do if I'm Tim. I feel really bad for Tim again. That hasn't even happened yet. I just see the car. It's like I see the car about to crash. The car crash is about to happen
again. But he got 2 builds, so maybe it won't be as quick as of a death.
Look at it this way, Tim. You were totally fine giving Sweden and St. Petersburg to the EG the last time, so those are just 2 you can get rid of. This time, it's the same. You're in the same position. You're just a year later. Look, I think it's not. It could be worse for Tim, right? If Fleet was in Denmark, if you've got a Fleet Kiel, if you've got these issues, it could be absolutely worse. Did Darcy make a mistake not building a fleet of any kind? Because I'm a hardcore yes on that.
Yes.
But on the other hand, he probably doesn't get Cedric's trust like this if he doesn't build the 2 armies.
I'm wondering too if it was a deal. I mean, I think Keith, you alluded to it earlier: 2 armies, 2 fleets. Maybe he agreed. He really wanted that fleet Liverpool, and he didn't want to break his word, and this is the only way to get it to happen.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone wanting him to have fleets for France here. It's rough. I think he's in a really bad position, and he had to make the best of it. That's why we don't open fleet to Holland.
Exactly.
Unless you're going to double down. Unless you really want to move past with France.
Okay, pressing on here, we have grades to give. Josh, this is the first time you get to grade other other players. We'll start out with Austria. Austria lends Trieste, gets Italy to move to Aegean, builds one, has an alliance partner. Keith, your grade.
High level tactics gives me a C. Good alliance, B. Got to build. I'll give him an A. I like it.
A for me. Couldn't have done anything better in my opinion. I like the AI. Got a good relationship with Italy.
A for me. England's grades. Has a fleet in Holland in the beginning, gets into Belgium, builds 2 fleets.
Probably the highest AI
Probably gets France to probably tricks France on Brest.
Probably the highest AI can give, just because got the Marseille build, got a St. Petersburg army, 2 army builds in Germany. Just everything's coming up, Cedric. Double support in the Belgium, 2 builds. Like, he's got the jump, the momentum, the alliance. And it's just amazing.
If he were to have handpicked the builds for Russia, France, and Germany, it would have been these. He got the exact builds he would have, aside from waves, obviously. He got the
Always.
He got the exact builds he would have wanted.
Army Marseille, maybe.
That is a good point. I'm going A+. I don't think he could have had a better one.
This is the hilarious time because Cedric himself could only grade himself an A under his stupid grading
That's
system.
what I said, A. Yep.
But under my grading system, it's an A ++, smiley face, exclamation point. That's the highest grade I give. France's grade. France supports England into Belgium, builds Fleet Marseille, and is faced with 2 German army builds as well as 2 English fleet builds.
I think the tactics spring and fall were fine. The build is rough, and then the diplomatic situation is even rougher.
Keith?
Tactics are good for the most part. Diplomacy is lacking here. France doesn't have a friend. If he has a friend, those friends cannot help him. So it's a D for me.
I'll go C-.
I'll go D+. I'll split the difference between the two of you. Germany opens up to Holland, finds a friend in England, builds 2 armies. And yet I don't love it. Keith, your grade?
F for the tactics. But yeah. So I guess looks like he's got Cedric on side. He's got Cedric committing. He's got an ally. He got 2 builds. So things are still doing well for Darcy. So I'll give him a D.
That's harsh. If there's 4 countries I'd want to be in this game right now, and he's one of them. I really did not like the opening. Don't like the builds, but he's got an ally, and he's got some room to grow with that ally. I'll go B.
C for me. I think it was average play, so that's where I put that. The
only reason I say D is just the tactics. He was forced into these positions. He was forced into
all that opening. It's all that opening.
So like he had no choice, and if he made a choice that was different than the choice that was presented to him, he would have no ally. So his tactics.
We know it's personal, Keith. We know you don't like Darcy.
I love Darcy. What are you talking
about? Italian grade. Got to build in Trieste. Is in Aegean. Builds fleet Naples, and a strong alliance.
If you can get that trust with Austria and get that loan and get in the GM, that's amazing. That's an A for me.
A+ for me. I love this AI as Italy. I thought about maybe deeming for the fleet Marseille, but that I can't imagine that's heading in his direction. So I'm not going to count that against him.
It's a solid A for me. The reason why this works for Italy, it also works for Austria because we gave Austria good grades, but almost even better for Italy is Italy, with the exception of Trieste being vulnerable, can disentangle from this if necessary, can keep going if momentum is there. And with someone like Philip who can work on Russia quite a bit, you can see a lot of growth for Italy here. And so, and he might be the beneficiary of a collapsing France, which hasn't happened yet. And I'm not grading on that, but because all of those options are preserved at the end of 1901, I really like his position. I'll go A plus also. Tim, look, we graded him an F, I believe, in Olympus season 3 at the end of 1901. He got 2 builds
He
here.
deserved it.
He got 2 builds here, and I mean, according to you guys, he made the right builds. We don't know for a fact that he's in a bad position. Just seems like I'd hate to be in this position. Keith, your grade.
C. Tactics are there. He's in a great position tactically. He just needs to find that friend. He needs to ensure that he's not fighting 2 alliances at the same time. That's a recipe for disaster. So tactically, he's got to see. I need to see more friendship. I mean, Armenia does not yell friendship in my face. So see. Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
It's a C for me as well. The tactics were fine. He did everything he needed to do. Builds are fine. It's more of the diplomatic situation he's in. I wouldn't want to be in this position. Just again, we don't know exactly what's going on, but just from our read on the board and the builds, I'm nervous for him. So C.
3 C's, Tim, but we love you.
Fair enough.
Turkey.
It's improving.
Turkey has a standard spring 1901, moves to Armenia in the fall, and builds a fleet. Except he's got Italian fleet in the Aegean, and we're not 100%. He's on board with Russia. Thoughts, grades, Keith.
I think it's a C for me. I think he's playing a little cautious, which is fine for Turkey. I'm not crazy about the Armenia build because that's going to put pressure on Russia, and they may not.
You mean
want
the move to Armenia, not
Armenia.
the build.
Move to Armenia. So I'd like to see Armenia go to Syria here. It might give them a little bit more defensive capabilities, but I still want to see if he can get Russia on side. So it's a C.
I'm going C minus. Just the diplomatic. If he was able to get a read that this was a strong AI, I don't think you move to Armenia there. I think you just need to do whatever you got to do to keep Russia happy on side. Otherwise, there wasn't a whole lot else that happened. The build made sense.
I disagree. I'm going to go with a B. I'm going to say why, right? Which is I think everything he did is totally reasonable. I grade him less than an A because of what Italy and Austria did, and I guess the failure to see that was coming. But he couldn't have done anything to stop it, anyways. And here's the thing: I don't think Turkey. I don't know King at all, but I doubt Turkey is as good a written diplomat as Philip. And we're going to see now who can win Russia's heart. And I don't know the right play for Russia here.
His heart or his mind? The right thing to do, or the thing that they're telling you to do?
Well, I think Tim acts with his heart over his mind a lot. So
I'm going to downgrade Turkey to a D, just because he didn't tap Romania. He went to Armenia. Like everything that he's doing to make sure that.
I'm going to a B plus then. What are you going to do?
Your argument wasn't compelling, I guess.
Like he could easily have gone to Romania to ensure that Black was safe. Armenia was not necessary. So
I give him a B. I mean, look, it is what it is. I don't think he'll get a great grades if he loses Bulgaria. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not sure what he can do.
I should have gave Austria a B since it's Richard B. He just gets B for just kidding.
Okay. here we go. Keith, who will win season 9 Nexus main event?
I'm gonna say Philip.
We didn't do our predictions.
Not because I don't love Cedric and his tempo, but I think the German position is going to take a while to turn around, and the AI is much stronger. And if there is an EG, that does give him growth in France as well. So I just think that Philip has a slightly better position with this map.
We didn't do our predictions in the beginning, but Philip was my selection, and this 01 turned out exactly how I thought it would. So I'm going to stick with him.
Is that who you're going to pick too?
He's always a contrarian. He can't pick Philip.
Yeah, no, he's like, I got to pick somebody else.
In an alliance between Philip and Richard, as much as I like Richard, I've just seen more success from Philip. So I think Philip will figure out a way to get the edge. Although Philip is best known in these top boards for getting taken advantage of, but I don't think Riaz and Richard are the same player. I don't mean any disrespect to Richard. It's more of a compliment to Riaz. I think Philip. I think Philip. I'd want to be Philip on the board, but I'd also kind of pick Cedric. So I'm happy to go with Cedric. And I mean, he's a diplomat. So what's wrong with Cedric? Let's give Cedric a chance.
He'd be my second pick. I think those are the two favorites.
My second pick. Cedric would appreciate not picking him. He doesn't want that target.
I don't think Cedric would want us to pick him, but I mean, I think he's got an ally who's way out of position, which is just where you want your allies to be. No danger of a third fleet coming anytime soon for Germany. He's got the fleets that he likes. He's playing the game he wants. So I'm going not half-heartedly. I'm saying Cedric will win the game.
I mean, Philip's in an allies home center. He doesn't worry about his position. He is in his home center.
If it means anything, I've done this set of moves that Philip's done a billion times, and it doesn't always work out. Trust me.
No.
I'd rather be in Cedric's position, I think. But I don't have Philip's capabilities as a diplomat. So, we'll see it happens. All right, gentlemen, we clocked in under an hour. Like, hey, maybe on a new network, but it's the same show. Josh, I can say, Keith, I'm sorry you're fired. DBN's fired you. Josh is now on board full time. You'll have to teach him the software that you just learned how to do tonight.
30 minutes ago.
Thanks to all our viewers. I hope somebody's watching this, and thank y'all both for having a great first show. Good night.
Good night.